Chapter 5 The Book of Prophecy 11th day of the 7th month, 695th year. Once home, doubts crept in. Was looking at the Book of Prophecy the right thing to do? Dragatu deliberated and carefully wrote out the debate, filling 5 pages of his journal. To his surprise, the journal had become a valued place where he poured out his thoughts, doubts, and dreams. Finally, he had written a conclusion, clinging to the justification. At the very least, I should see it. Then I will know it is real. For several days, Dragatu waited for the right moment to talk to his mother. Finally, it presented itself. He opened the door to the library and smiled at his mother as she sat reading with her back to the window, basking in the light that shone through, her long blonde hair glowing as the sunlight kissed it. "Can I join you?" he asked. Ilana looked up, the soft beauty of her face having returned over the weeks that had passed. "Of course. How are you today?" "I'm fine," Dragatu said casually, shrugging his shoulders. He walked over to a shelf and took out a book Brannon had once read to him, sat in a chair, and began to flick through the pages. Ilana watched him curiously for a second, then continued reading her book. A few minutes passed before Dragatu chose to break the silence, closing the book. "What is the most important book?" he asked, straightening in his chair. Ilana looked up again, her face contorted in confusion. She closed the book and drummed her fingers on the cover. After a moment of thought, she answered, "Well, the most important book to me is one your father gave me before we got married. It's a book we both loved, and he had a copy specially written and bound for me." She took a deep breath, attempting to keep her emotions at bay. "Wouldn't the Book of Prophecy be the most important?" Dragatu said boldly. Ilana's face dropped. After a moment of confusion, she composed herself. "How do you know about the Book of Prophecy, Dragatu?" He confessed that Brannon had told him, and that he had promised to protect it. While he told her, Ilana struggled to understand why Brannon hadn't mentioned he was going to do this, and she tried to trust his choice. "I'm glad you have been told, Dragatu," she said when he had finished, trying to hide her confusion with encouragement. "It's a lot of responsibility, and having someone to share it with is a comfort." Dragatu smiled inside. His plan was working. "What does it look like?" "I guess there's no harm in knowing that," she said after another brief pause. "It's ordinary looking and bound in brown leather. What makes it unique in its looks is that it has 3 straps as the cover. There's one that you would expect holding the cover together and wrapped around the middle, but there's also one at the top and one at the bottom that overlap. These 2 cover the book in the leather and fasten back into each other. It's very old, but the writing is beautiful and clear. The inside page has the Book of Prophecy written on it. If you marry, you'll see it for yourself one day. I would like that." "Have any of the prophecies come true?" he asked, his curiosity getting the better of him. "I have seen some come true," she said, her head dropping a fraction as she folded her arms over her stomach. Dragatu decided to press for the last bit of information he wanted. "I hope you don't mind me asking this, but where is it kept?" Ilana looked up quickly, but before she could speak he continued, "If I'm to protect it, I feel I should know where it is." She hesitated, looking at him inquisitively, then smiled. "It's kept in my room, in the small storage room to the side. It's in a chest at the back of the room." Her tone then became more serious, the lines of her forehead creasing. "Now that you know this, you must take your promise very seriously. You must not read it, but always protect it." "I will protect it," he said, as though to himself. "Thank you for answering my questions." "I trust you, Dragatu. If I can, I will always answer them." A pang of guilt came over him, but he pushed it aside. "Enough talk of serious things," Ilana continued, as she brushed her hair with her hand. "Life seems to be so serious recently. How are your friends? Have you still been winning when you wrestle?" Dragatu was happy to be drawn into the change of topic and told his mother about the fun he had had with his friends. 19th day of the 7th month, 695th year. The house was quiet. It had taken another week, but it was finally empty and would be for most of the day. Dragatu found himself outside his mother's room, feeling like 1,000 birds fluttered inside his chest. He took a deep breath and cautiously opened the door. squeaked loudly, and he winced. He paused and held his breath. A moment passed, and he let out a small laugh. Everything seemed quieter than normal, and it was making him paranoid. Dragotta then pushed hard on the door and stepped into the room. He scanned it once, and seeing the storage room, walked over to it and entered. There at the back was the old chest, just as his mother had said. Reaching it, he crouched, put his hand on the lid, and went to pull it up slowly. It didn't move. He tried again. Nothing. In his excitement, he hadn't noticed the lock. Frustration circulated Dragotta's body, and he stood up, about to pace the floor, but he controlled himself. He stood still, breathed deeply, and tried to think. I need the key. He looked around the small room, but there was nothing obvious. The key has to be somewhere. He looked at the lock. It had a big keyhole. He scanned the room again, but still saw no big key. Leaving the room, he walked into the main bedroom and circled on the spot, scanning frantically. Still nothing. His frustration grew, but he didn't want to give up already. He stopped circling and tried to think harder. Could Mother be carrying it? He shook his head. No. It would be too heavy to carry around all the time, and I would have noticed it. Where is it then? He said out loud. He walked around the room, looking everywhere. Suddenly, he noticed a book of law on the table next to his mother's bed. There was something about it that didn't look right. He walked over to it, noticing how old it looked. It looked older than any book of law he had seen, and he put his hand gently on the cover, seeing the words written there. The Book of Law, Key to Salvation. Key to Salvation, he repeated. He had never heard or seen that before. Opening the cover, he laughed with surprise. There in front of him was a key-shaped hole in the pages. It contained a very old key, almost the size of the whole page. The frustration quickly turned to excitement. He took the key and walked briskly back to the chest, put the key in the lock, turned it, and opened the lid. He peered inside, but all he could see was random items. There were old clothes, a lot of books, and some jewelry too. He took out a few of the books, mentally logging where they had been, and opened them up. To his disappointment, none of them matched his mother's description. Every time he opened one, he saw it was a journal of someone long since dead. After removing all the journals, Dragotta finally found that he had what he had longed to see. There at the bottom was a big, book-shaped object wrapped in black cloth. He took it out carefully and delicately removed the cloth. The faded leather cover, dust, and crinkled pages gave away its ancient origin. He placed it gently on the floor. This was it. This had to be the Book of Prophecy. He sat down and stared at it. A thought crept slyly into his mind. It matches the description, but how do I know for certain? He dwelt on the thought and struggled to make up his mind. I can either accept this, or put it back. Or maybe I can open the front page and see if the words are there. He slowly unclipped the first of the 3 bindings. It wrapped horizontally over the spine, over the front cover, and connected again to the back cover. With this removed, he opened the other 2 bindings that went from the top and bottom of the book, clipping over each other. When these were free and folded back, he gently opened the cover. The hairs on his neck tingled, and he read the words out loud. The Book of Prophecy. This is it, he thought with delight. This proves the Creator didn't give us only one book. This book has the future in it, and Mother said she had seen some of the prophecies come true. Dragotta's thoughts whirled with a vortex and spiraled into dangerous territory. I wonder what prophecies came true. Surely they have already come true. It wouldn't do any harm to look. It would be okay to do that, right? It would be undeniable proof this book contains the future. Then I could put it back and protect it as I promised. His heart was pounding as he slid his fingers down the pages. He stopped his hand and opened the book to a random page. With a deep breath, he read the line on the chosen page. When the 3 are divided and 2 remain, the 3rd will be bringer of misery and pain. Dragotta read it again, his face screwing up. It made no sense. He felt a pang of disappointment in his chest. He read it a 3rd time, but still couldn't understand it. With a frustrated flick, he turned to the next page and read. This one made less sense than the last. He closed the book hard, dust rising from the pages. All he could do was sit there, thinking about what to do. Is the Book of Prophecy a lie? Is the Book of Law a lie? Is the Creator a lie? Corric's words circled Dragaatu's mind. He started to wonder if maybe the Creator was a lie. Then he shook his head. No, I believe in the Creator. I will not dishonor you, Father. He buried his head in his hands. Although, maybe I have already. I'm sorry. I should never have read this stupid book. I believe in the Creator. The Book of Prophecy must be wrong. It made no sense. Lost in his doubts, he pulled his head out of his hands and looked up towards the ceiling. What is the Book of Prophecy? He said through clenched teeth. He let his head drop and breathed heavily. It must be made up, he thought. Someone has tricked our family long ago and made up mysterious things. But then Mother said some of the prophecies came true. Ah! Dragaatu growled as his head began to hurt. It must have been coincidence, he concluded. Maybe the confusing way it has been written means it's easier to think the prophecy has come true. It is nothing like the Book of Law. No wonder we don't tell anyone about it. We would get laughed at if people read the nonsense I did. There was a long pause. Finally, Dragaatu let out a long breath and smiled weakly to himself. His mind was settled, and he became more aware of his surroundings. He quickly reclipped the book, folded the cloth back over it, and put it back, placing all the other books on top. With everything back in place, he locked the chest, put the key back in the Book of Law, and checked everything was the way it had been. After a last glance, he left. He stayed at the top of the stairs for a few moments listening, but heard nothing. Running down the stairs, he went straight to his room, grabbed his journal, and went to the library, closing the door behind him. He wrote about how the Book of Prophecy did not prove the Creator was real, and added the nonsensical prophecy. After this, he concluded he would ignore Coric, or anyone else who said they didn't believe in the Creator. He was determined he would honor his father, and keep his promises, though. Once updated, Dragaatu put the journal in his room and went to get some food from the kitchen. Halfway through his meal, Eunyalus entered, holding a potted plant that had white petals. What's that you have there? Dragaatu asked curiously. It's a plant that only seems to grow near one tree. It's very peculiar, but fascinating. Dragaatu smiled at the rare enthusiasm from Eunyalus. The tree the plant grows around has no other trees near it, Eunyalus continued. I go there to think. I've been thinking about something I would like to try and do. I don't know how to do it yet. I think it could help our whole nation. It's going to be some time before I can tell anyone what it is. Okay, well I hope you figure it out, Dragaatu said and turned back to his food. Thanks, Eunyalus said, still looking at the plant. Then walked to the far side of the kitchen, watered it, and went back out the way he had come. Dragaatu shrugged as Eunyalus left, and ate the rest of his food. Once finished, he went out the front door into the bright daylight to see some friends, the Book of Prophecy already fading from his thoughts.